Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Escape podcast. It is Kyle, and today it's going to be all about WrestlePalooza. We have the full card. We're going to do some previews, of course, my predictions, and probably my favorite segment that I have in all of this is your voices in the crowd speaks segment. Before we jump in, real quick, if you're enjoying the show, hit that follow button and drop a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Again, I say this every episode. It really does help more wrestling fans find us, and they are, and it helps keep this community growing. So thank you for all of you that have been tuning in, and thank you to those that are giving it a shot for the first time. All right, now it is time to get a little nostalgic. This week, back in 1998, Jacqueline shocked the world on Raw. Remember, she beat Sable to win the vacant women's championship, and this title had been inactive for about 3 years, ever since Medusa dumped it in the trash on an episode of Monday Night Nitro. This moment did officially bring the women's division back to life. Moments like that just remind us how unpredictable WWE history can be. And honestly, at WrestlePalooza this coming weekend, we might be witnessing a new historic moment of our own. Just a matter of who, when, and where. All right, we're going to dive into our main event, which is the preview and predictions of the WrestlePalooza match card. Now, the first match I'm going to dive into is Io Sky versus Stephanie Vaquer. This is the vacated Women's World Championship that Naomi had to vacate after announcing her beautiful pregnancy with her husband, Jimmy Uso. And Stephanie Vaquer had earned her shot by winning the Evolution Battle Royal months ago. Io Sky has been, I would say, the established force circling this belt. It's veteran star power versus a rising new face. And some things I think we need to watch out for is, can Stephanie Vaquer prove she belongs on this stage? I think most of us think she does, but this will probably be her first real big match, especially being the first PLE on ESPN. There's no pressure on all on that. And will Io Sky lean into her experience advantage and also her 1 million reversals? I don't know about you guys, but every time I watch a match, I feel like I'm counting how many times Io Sky reverses a move. I mean, maybe we should make it into a drinking game, but if this is match number 1 and we make it into a drinking game, I don't think we're going to make it the rest of the night. And then also too, Io Sky, and you have Asuka and Kairi Sane, are there any surprise interferences that could happen in this match? Because the title is wide open. I think with Asuka, I could see her either helping or hurting Io Sky. But my prediction for this match, I'm gonna go with Stephanie Vaquer. I think it's her time to take it. I think with Io Sky, she's done what she could with the belt previously. She'll stay strong, maybe a few with Asuka to the side, but let's face it, WWE loves crowning fresh champions, especially when the belt is vacant, and this is a big stage for Stephanie Vaquer to get her title, and I look forward to that. Next match, John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. Unfortunately, we all know John Cena's career is winding down, just now in the single digits of his appearances that are left in WWE, quote unquote. As we know, he's openly called this his last run. Lesnar has returned recently, laid him out several times on SmackDown and made it personal, also ripping his jeans in the process. But this is about legacy, respect, and one final showdown between two GOATs. Let's just call it what they are. And from here, with this feud that's lasted, at least 10 plus years, does Cena get his send-off moment, especially against Brock Lesnar, or does Brock Lesnar dominate in just a violent fashion that we're all used to him seeing do? I don't know. This is going to be a tough one. I think John Cena wins. However, Lesnar will still look like a monster and take him to Suplex City. I don't know how many times. I just can't imagine that WWE and John Cena would allow Cena to lose in this situation. I expect a brutal finish, maybe 9 or 10 attitude adjustments to slay the beast. I think it's more of I want John Cena to win, but I'm down the middle split of who I think will win. I'm going to go with John Cena. I'm going to go with my gut on that one. Match number 3, we have CM Punk and AJ Lee versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, the mixed tag match. I got to say, the build-up to this, which also includes AJ Lee coming back first time in 10 years, I think it's been nothing short of amazing. I mean, Punk and Rollins, just their tension has just been boiling over inside the ring. Although there are reports I've read outside of the ring and out of character, they are actually really, really close now. And I'm honestly not surprised because these are two guys that are very opinionated, very successful. They know exactly what it takes to be a successful, you know, successful sports entertainer and professional wrestler. And I think they both are starting to see eye to eye that maybe they are kind of the same person. But back to the storyline itself, Becky inserted herself by slapping CM Punk, and which caused AJ to come back, returning, after 10 years. And it's going to be ego, legacy, pride, and, just two marriages all going at it, all wrapped together. Some things to watch out for. I'm really curious to see how sharp AJ Lee looks after being so long outside of the ring, at least on TV. I'm sure she's been training, but 10 years is a long time. I will say, with the few scraps that she's had with Becky Lynch along the way and the slaps to Seth Rollins, I think she's looking the part. She definitely does not look timid in the ring at all, and I think the crowd is going to eat up any interaction that Becky and AJ have. And here it's funny. My wife was telling me we were watching the most recent episode of Raw, and she said, "Wow, I've never seen CM Punk stand behind somebody who's on the mic." And I told her, I said, "Hey, with a wife, uh, you do not step in front of her. You let her speak." Now that is the first time I think Punk's ever gotten behind somebody, except maybe Paul Heyman, but yeah, Punk looked. I think he was really proud of AJ coming back. I do think they blurred the lines a little bit with some of their promos, which, of course, you all know that gets me going. I love when they blur the lines. But let's just get down to the prediction of who is going to win. As much as I want to see Punk and AJ win, I think they will shine. But I think somehow, some way, Rollins and Becky are gonna win. Like, I don't want to say by cheating, just like maybe in a cheap way, like somebody gets distracted. But I see Becky scoring the pin to keep her momentum rolling against AJ Lee. And I do think that's going to spill over into a potential singles feud with AJ Lee and Becky Lynch for that women's intercontinental title. So I have Becky and Seth winning that one, but I'm excited for that one. I never thought I'd be excited for the mixed tag match, but they got away with these storylines, and all four of them are fantastic on the mic. They're all good in the ring. Just curious to see the quality of it. But even if the quality is not great, the storyline itself, I think, has already won me over, and I'm excited to catch that one. Match number 4, we have the Usos, Jimmy and Jay Uso, tag teaming for the first time in years to go up against Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. This is the Usos reuniting on the big stage. You have Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, the powerhouse that they are. It's going to be teamwork, family legacy, finesse, and maybe some other talent, sticking their neck in this business of this match. And it's things to watch out for. Can the Usos recapture their magic as a team? And I say that because there's just little, hints and seedlings of Jey Uso potentially becoming a heel. He's on that phone call on Raw, and Jimmy Uso, asked who it was, and he basically said, "You don't need to know about it." So that right there is kind of Roman Reigns-esque when he was in that heel run. So much to see on that, and that could determine how this match plays out. And then on the flip side, how dominant will Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker look? I think they're going to continue to look dominant. That's the whole point of them being together, especially along with division. This could also be a possible seed planted for future tag division shakeups, which I think they desperately need to do. My prediction: it's one of two things. Either Jay is going to cost them the match, or Jay is going to win the match. I think the emotional payoff plus a reunion pop outweighs just the power advantage and the potential heel turn with Jay, which I don't think he's going to turn heel. If he does, it's going to be months down the road. I'm going to take the Usos to win. I still think Reed and Breaker are going to look dominant. Who knows? They may still get the upper hand after the match and destroy them like they have the last, 10 weeks on Raw, the same, angle that we all love to see. So I got the Usos winning here. In match 5, this is the last match on the card. This is also being recorded on Thursday, so there's a potential to always add matches on Friday on SmackDown. But the last match on the card as of now is Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre for the undisputed WWE Championship. As we know, Drew McIntyre, just has become ruthless once again. Attacking Cody months ago, and then obviously Randy Orton, and then Cody returning from injury to save Orton on SmackDown and basically demanded this fight, grabbed the mic, said, "I'll see you at WrestlePalooza." Not in the way that Brock Lesnar said, "I'll see you at WrestlePalooza, bitch," to John Cena, but, kind of the same thing. But Cody, he's the hero. He is the face of the company. So it's going to be, grit versus brutality. And I think once again, Drew's going to take a loss. Uh, but could you just imagine for just, hear me out, 10, 15 seconds. I want to see Drew win, and I don't even care if he loses the next night on Raw or, 2 nights on Raw, Monday Night Raw. Like, we need to do that again. We need to have these titles change hands. Not all the time, but I don't know if you're like me, but I personally am getting sick of this 6 month to a year drawn out storylines. And I know it's long term storytelling and building, but you can't do that with every single title. And I think with these main titles, it just creates even more interest and excitement when these titles change. I mean, hell, have anybody else just win the title for 24 hours and then they can lose the next night just to kind of switch it up a little bit. All right, let's get back on track. Now, with this match, does Cody survive clean? Does he actually? I'm going to take Cody to win to retain, but then does Drew get a hold of him after the match? If he does, Randy Orton will probably come out. Will anybody else come out? Any other outside factors that decide this finish? Because Cody, I wonder who his next feud will be. Drew will get close like he always does, maybe even cheat a little, but I think Cody still finds a way. WWE still wants Cody's reign to feel solid heading into the fall. So we will see what happens. But those are my predictions. I'm excited to check out WrestlePalooza, especially on ESPN. I know, obviously, since the announcement of moving from Peacock to ESPN, everybody's got their opinion, and that's fair. That's this next segment, the crowd speaks, is exactly why I love doing this kind of stuff. Just kind of getting a pulse of everybody else out there. Sometimes we're siloed into thinking our own thoughts, and we're on social media and read opinions of others, but we only like the ones that match ours. Again, this is wrestling that we're talking about, so please don't take anything out of context here. But I think we also need to, I'm excited for it to go to ESPN. I'll be even more excited once if and when they can get all of the WWE library is currently on Peacock moved over to ESPN, because then I can cancel Peacock. So for people that are listening, I'm in the United States. I'm located in Florida. Like many of you, we have several subscriptions just to watch WWE, Monday Night Raw for Netflix. You have NXT for the CW. I have YouTube TV for that. Obviously, we also have a Friday Night SmackDown. That's also on YouTube TV. But then also now we have to have ESPN for PLE. So it's a lot of different subscriptions going. So hopefully we can, scale those back a little bit and consolidate. But, I always tell people this that ask my opinion. I said, I'm still going to watch. I'm still going to figure out a way, whether it's get a VPN or whatnot. I'm still going to watch. Am I necessarily going to love the product every single night or every single episode or every single PLE? Absolutely not. That's the beauty of it. I look forward to, PLEs getting better. Sometimes, I still feel like we're in a little bit of a lull. They're doing what they can. Fall, summer into fall after SummerSlam, there can be kind of like a hangover effect. I definitely felt that after SummerSlam. But I think we're starting to pick up again. We had some people coming back, big names. Obviously, John Cena's retirement tour continues. I'm excited to see where it goes. All right, the next segment is our Crowd Speaks segment. This is where I flip it to you guys, the fans. And I had a ton of feedback of me requesting out on Instagram of, give me some hot takes, whether it's for WrestlePalooza, professional wrestling in general, and then I'll name them on here and shout you out, and I'll give you my take as well. But here are a few hot takes that I pulled this week. And again, if I butcher and completely mess up your handle, apologies. The first one we have is at RealDH8. His hot take: Def Rebel makes great or more good themes than they get credit for. Are they all bangers? No. But people act like they only have about 4 good themes ever, and that's actually pretty false. Blake Monroe is the most recent example. Naomi is a heel. Street Profits' new theme is underrated. You have Mello, you have Trick, Ethan Page, Roman's last 2 themes, Seth, Bronson, Braun, Solo, AJ's heel theme, LA Knight, Penta, Damian Priest, and probably some others I didn't mention. Again, this is what I was talking about earlier. People get on these trains or wagons of, "Oh, I'm gonna jump on. You don't like Def Rebel? That's fine. I don't like them either." But you understand, you have to give some substance as to why. And Real DH88 really pointed out that there's actually a lot of good theme songs that Def Rebel has made. And I agree. Is everyone a great one? No, that's impossible. As I totally agree with that Def Rebel is doing fine. He also had 2 other WrestlePalooza predictions. Either Seth does something to AJ Lee, okay, or another return after a Cena match. For whatever reason, I can feel either of those happening. On the Monday Night Raw episodes past week, Seth Rollins did kind of hint something to AJ Lee and Becky Lee that, we're going to get to you. We're going to try to attack you and see what happens. So I don't know. I could see that becoming a storyline. And then also, too, another return after a Cena match. I just want Edge. I want that Edge Cena finale. I know Edge's contract ends either the end of this month or maybe the end of next month, but it lines up well to do one more final match with John Cena. Next up, we have at Q underscore the underscore game. Dom Mysterio should win Money in the Bank next year. As we all know, Dom has 2 current belts, Intercontinental and then the AAA. Yes, I'm all for that. I agree. I think he should win. However, it's still pretty far away, and I think a lot can happen. I'm still trying to figure out where LA Knight's going to go. We all thought he was going to win Money in the Bank. There's a lot of other guys that are just as deserving as Dom. But yeah, imagine Dom winning that. I think the crowd will still be behind him 1000%. I like that one. Next up, we have at tribal underscore chief underscore 756. LA Knight is overrated ASF. I'll let you figure out what that means. If you don't, you can use ChatGPT to help you out on that. It's funny. I was just talking about LA Knight. It depends what tribal chief 756 is referring to. Overrated. Now, I can see the argument on both sides. I can see the argument of LA Knight being a copycat of the Attitude Era, taken from, The Rock with his promos or Stone Cold with his attitude. I get that. And then the other side, which is the side I'm more inclined to be on, is I think he has it. Whether you want to say he's built up based on other wrestlers, I think that's a lot of wrestlers in general. They pick and choose and what they like. LA Knight is still over. Music pops, crowd goes crazy. Is he great in the ring? I mean, I'm not a technician by any means, but he's not one of the worst ones. I mean, you could argue Jey Uso. I mean, he's not a great wrestler. He has his 1,000 super kicks, and there's no disrespect to him. But I think I disagree that LA Knight is overrated. But again, Tribal Chief 756, I appreciate you, dropping your thoughts on that. Next up, we have at Elephantasmo underscore SPG. Lion Tamer is the greatest submission finisher of all time. Oof. I mean, I get it. That move looks brutal, especially when Jericho was doing it in WCW, where he would basically crank back and almost fold guys in half. And by all accounts, that has been noted, the Lion Tamer legit hurts more than the figure 4 if it's locked in for real. But here's kind of where I guess I would push back. I think the figure 4 leg lock, that's my ultimate submission of all time. I think that's the most iconic submission in wrestling history. Of course, you all know Flair made it legendary. Crowds would go wild every time he locked it in, no matter the match. And of course, it's been passed down by others such as Miz and of course Charlotte Flair. I think Charlotte Flair makes it look like it hurts even more. So Lion Tamer, definitely more painful in reality, but the figure 4 for me, that's legacy. So as much as I agree to disagree with Elephantasmo, I think that's 1 and 2 for me. Next up, we have at F. Susinada, and I am sorry if I butchered that. Jey Uso turns on his brother after they lose the match. Okay. So this is kind of what I was getting at with that match, like what could happen. I didn't really think about that possibility, especially after the match. And Triple H really likes to book drama after the match, always, right? And I could totally see this happening. Does it make sense storyline wise, time wise, anything leading up? I know we have Survivor Series in a few months. I don't know how that's going to look. I want to see it. I'm all for chaos. I want heel turns every single day of the week. I think with Jay kind of hinting at that, I think he could totally pull a really good heel storyline. He just has, I think he could really. Now, what's that going to do to the kids in the crowd? WWE doesn't really care about that, obviously, with John Cena, but he quickly turned back face, just like Jey Uso could if they did this. Let's do it. I agree. I want this to happen. So yes, I like that. Well, I appreciate you guys giving me feedback. I gotta say, over the past few weeks, I've just gotten more and more, DMs, or I'll put in a question sticker on social media asking for feedback or hot takes, and you guys have definitely delivered. I think this past week I had over 25 submissions. Obviously, I didn't get to most of you, and unfortunately, I can only do this podcast, X amount of time during the day. But please keep submitting them. I promise to shout you guys out as I can. But thank you for that. So that's the WrestlePalooza rundown with the previews, predictions, and of course, your voices in the mix. And now, if you're enjoying Pro Wrestling Escape podcast, hit the follow, drop a review, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Again, every review helps. You all know this. But once again, thank you all for hanging out with me. Enjoy WrestlePalooza. And just remember, this is your Pro Wrestling Escape. Have a good one.